what do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, our Wednesday show, presented by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar. It is football season, and if you are looking for an amazing place to go camp out, watch football games, grab a seat at the bar, grab a table, enjoy, look, it's week 0. They got college football this weekend, or maybe it's soccer that you love. I am going to be there Friday afternoon to watch the Chelsea-West Ham match at Front 43 and Cask & Company. 2 amazing adjoining places, different vibes, one great menu, fantastic drink selection, underrated patio, happy hour specials, right on that East Lansing border on East Saginaw near Frandor. Jason, how you doing, brother?
You already know what I'm about to do to start this video. We've got the hobby shirt out for this one. Get your hobby shirts out. Get your hobby jerseys out. The magic wands, all of it, the magic hats. Peacock.
What's up, buddy? You had me until soccer. I was all excited. Week 0 and everything.
You don't have to watch soccer. That's why you go. You can watch something else at Front 43.
That's true. There's multiple
Company.
TVs.
Yes. Yeah, we don't have to all be watching the same thing. You can be turned away from me. Which
can't be any worse than that game last night. A walk-off walk. Jesus, especially when you have a single game parlay with 3 players with 2+ bases and watching that game, you just get a little frustrated. But man,
loved it. Had the under. Was pretty excited the whole way.
If you have the under, yeah, you're loving that game all day long. But
this is where Vegas screws up, and you can get Vegas. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, so
we're back now.
If like the 2 worst pitchers in the world are pitching, Vegas would be like the over/under is 8. Last night you got like 2 amazing pitchers, 2 of the better pitchers in baseball. The over/under was 7. 1 run is all it was. I was like, please give me the under. I mean, it's not a guarantee, but are you kidding me? Yeah, I'll take the under.
I know.
100 times out of 100.
Brown, local guy, too.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
yeah, it was.
Vegas gets it wrong a lot now. I've talked to a lot of people that frequent Vegas and are like, yeah, I just don't know if I'm going back anytime soon.
Well,
yeah.
You don't need to go back when you got, firekeepers.
I knew there was a live read in there somewhere, yeah. But I was sitting there looking at some of our over-under picks. I'm like, did we get in too late? Like, should we have been doing this pick show like a month ago? Do you have to sit there in February, like, look at these?
You're talking football.
Yeah, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, minus 150 fucking Iowa to bet the over 7.5 or some of these bets. We'll get into with Harry, but I'm just like, I don't want to do these season-long bets like this, but.
Some of them haven't moved too much. They just started with a lot of juice because they're trying to set a line. And I don't. It's
right. But what fun is? I mean, to sit there and have to sweat a season-long bet, paying a bunch of heavy juice on it. I'm just like, all right. And a lot of guys are in my situation where I don't have 1,000. I mean, to honestly place bets on these, you have to place $1,000 to get some fun out of it, right? I mean, it depends on your bankroll, but I'm saying if I put $100 to $140 to win 100. And there's all those months in between, I have to sit there and sweat balls over it. Like, what? No. I'll just do my $25 parlay and, cross my fingers and hope it works. I like talking about the over-unders and what we think teams are going to do, but placing these bets, I mean, are we really doing that? I know you are. You're going to place all of these bets.
I think, well, I don't play 1,000. That's a lot.
No. I know. We have different bankroll. I'm just saying I would like to bet like if I'm going to do these bets, I don't have the bankroll to make those bets. Hypothetically, if I would need a bankroll significantly to place bets to where I would feel comfortable.
See, psychologically, I'm not that sort of gambler. I don't need huge amounts of money. Like, to me, if I have a couple $100
on a season-long
bet,
that's all I'm saying.
Whatever works in my brain, whatever stimulates my brain, that's enough. If at the end of the year I might get $150 out of something, that's enough for me to have some juice on it and keep me from doing
paying that much juice on top, though. I mean, some of these bets, I said, we'll get into it, but man,
I would rather pay the juice than lose the game. In other words, I would rather pay if I want over 7.5 and it's minus 150. I'd rather that than it's 8.5 and it's even money.
Right.
So that you want to win the bet.
Understand
that's the
I'm just saying for the season long sweat though is all. But
we're going to get into that in a little bit. We'll have Harry join us in a little while. We're going to have Shawn Windsor join us here shortly. Talk about Michigan football and the punishment. He wrote a good column in the Freep. Loyal member of the Blue Wall there.
I would love to read it, but I don't have $20.
I will send you. Well, maybe we'll just. You know what we should have? We should have Shawn.
What does he think about it?
We should have Shawn. Well, he wrote about it. We'll talk.
No. I'm talking about the newspaper industry and the Detroit News and other papers
we'll
trying to rope you into $1 thingy and then going, ha, now pay me 20, fatty.
I don't know if we'll get into that. I don't know if we'll get into that. I don't want him to get in trouble. I don't mind speaking up, but we'll get into.
Why? Yeah, you guys shouldn't speak up. You guys should just get fired and lose your jobs and not have an opinion on it.
That's it.
We'll stay quiet.
We'll maybe talk a little MSU hoops, some Tigers with him. I love talking MSU hoops with Shawn, and so
it's a ways away though.
It is, but I don't think it's ever completely off people's mind.
And we said, "Would somebody please guard somebody?"
Yeah, can't wait till those sound bites come back. November is going to be awesome.
And little program, we'll do a Friday show next week. We will do Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, because of the Michigan State football season opener. So we'll be a day early.
3 shows?
Still 3 shows.
Crammed in?
Yep. Yeah. We're going to make it work.
We're back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You want to get Shawn on the phone and we'll get this rolling? While he's doing that, a reminder, if you have not been to Front 43 in Cask and Company, it is a place I recommend highly to everybody. It is a go-to place for me. It is a place I get takeout. Like if you go to caskandcompany.com, you can just order food there. Make a reservation there, one of the great reservation systems. But a lot of times, even when I can't go, I'll bring it home. I'll bring a sushi bowl home for my wife, and just love the options there. It is just great vibes, great food, outstanding place. Cask and Company and Front 43. Again, caskandcompany.com for reservations today. Very pleased now to be joined by a good friend and somebody I had a dinner with the other night, along with his 2 boys, and Joe Rexroad and Solari and Matt Charbonneau. I tell you what, Shawn Windsor here with us from the Detroit Free Press. If we had just put a mic on that table and recorded it, that would have been a good podcast.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad, mostly because of you and some of the things that you said, which you probably can't repeat here, but let me just tease your listeners that way. It's because of you.
Wait a second. What did I say that I couldn't repeat? Give something that's on that fine line that you're not sure.
How you would recruit players from the South?
Oh, they all know that. This podcast knows that. I mean, okay. I've said before, like the civil rights movement would be heavy in my recruiting of the South. I would not let. Put it that way.
Pictures of Bull Connor and that sort of thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, fire hoses, all the stuff. Reminding them of what their fan base really thinks of them. Yep, no, all that. I would be a very dirty recruiter. There's no questioning that. All right, you wrote a column that I think surprised a lot of people as a card-carrying member of the Blue Wall after Michigan's after the NCAA's punishment of Michigan. I thought it was a good column, and you really talked about the biggest punishment is the championship, and that whole run they had now is tainted, right? That's the punishment more than anything. Get into your line of thinking on what came out of that and what led to that column.
Well, I guess I don't think it's interesting because I have an opinion, obviously, myself, but I also want to represent at least what I think is reality. And I know that's subjective for everybody, for all of us, right? But outside of this state, and we're going on, 2 years now? 2 years, right? 2 years since this whole business started, more or less. And like you, I travel for work. I've been around the country. I know college football fans in lots of places. And not necessarily, obviously you would expect it from Michigan State fans, Ohio State fans, those two to start with. But just college football fans in Florida or Georgia Tech or Texas or, even USC and Oregon, those sort of places. And that's how they feel. That's how the bulk of folks feel. They think that it's tainted. Whether that's completely wholly fair, obviously it's devoid of a lot of nuance. I mean, that team had, 16, 17 NFL players on. They won all those games without Stallions when everybody in the world knew what had happened, so they kind of had to win on the field that way. I mean, that's part of it. But you know how this works, right? Especially for casual fans. They're going to associate this scandal, this sign-stealing scheme, with Michigan for a long, long time. And I think Michigan fans feel that, even if they don't want to, they can tell you they don't care, and maybe some don't, But if they truly, truly don't care, then what we're saying is that they're sociopaths. And look, that may be on the rise in our country, but that most people are still not sociopaths, even in their fandom. When they're sitting alone at night or early in the morning or whatever, they know. They do. And that's not necessarily fun. And there's a karmic, psychic price to that for me.
No, and that's the shame of it, is it was a team that was so good that it may not have been needed at all. And that's, one thing if you knew deep down that whatever was done to gain an advantage against the rules was absolutely needed to make that title happen, and that was worth it. But it really, and obviously the timing is why it's tricky, because everything turned right at the moment that Connor Stallions and the advanced signs stealing stuff happened, and it was against the rules, and there are some games where they were very, very good very quickly there, and so that's always going to be a question for people, and that's right. I mean, everybody can feel how they want about different titles. Michigan State claims the 1957 national championship. It's a trophy that's right behind where they interview Jonathan Smith every week, and yet they did not win the Big Ten. You can feel like you won that national championship trophy when it was like 6 guys on train cars and Jack Ebling making the votes every year. But that is not really a national championship. You can't not win the Big Ten, legitimately not win the Big Ten and be the national champion. But you can feel how you want about it. And so people can feel how they want about it, about the Michigan thing. But there will be more people who don't, who believe it's tainted, and that's just something they're going to have to live with forever.
There's no question. And to me, and it's interesting because on a podcast that I'm a part of, the ML Solar Detroit, sorry, not trying to plug it here, but we had Dan Wetzel, right, esteemed national columnist now for and investigative reporter now for ESPN. We had him on the show the other day, and he was actually more, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but this is out there already. He's more bothered by the recruiting into their Michigan's violations. He thought they should have been hammered more for that they gained more of an advantage because they were illegally making contact with recruits during COVID. And I understand that, right? And because I think the word he used with the Connor Stein stuff is nebulous, because we don't know exactly what advantage was gained or not, and how far. There's no proof it still went to Harbaugh. We can speculate, we can assume. I mean, my guess is it's probably a little more broad than the NCAA, and they hinted at that a little bit. The NCAA did when they spoke with the reporters last week. So I understand it, but to me, if you just step back for a second, I think, and I pointed this out on our show the other day, I think that because we are so used to, in college football is not fair inherently. The players are based on where the sun shines, what booster or what alumni, what schools have the wealthiest alumni. It's always been that way. And let's maybe change it a little bit with NIL, but we accept in our gut, for better and for worse, it's never been a level playing field. So when somebody's breaking the rules to get recruits, we don't love it, but we've come to terms with that for the last 50 years. What this was on the field, right? When the whistle blows on that Saturday afternoon or Saturday night, that's what this was about. And in that way, it's unprecedented. It's closer to point shaving than to me it is recruiting violations, which is why the NCAA, even though they didn't have maybe proof of exactly play-by-play how they gained advantage or not, the fact that it speaks to that sense of what's fair in the field of play, that's what this is about, and that's the taint, right? Excuse me, that's maybe not the best word right there. That's the stink. That's the stench. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean.
Sorry.
I love you, man. Jason's doubled over in the other room laughing right now.
Compose yourself, my man.
Yeah. All right. Do you think there is any so going forward, there's obviously a fine, which is not nothing. I mean, that's why they're appealing it. But it is also something a school like Michigan can handle more than, say, a school like Central Michigan or even some others in the Big Ten. Do you think there is any lingering effect of this on the field with the staff, with Sharon Moore? Does it change how quickly he has to win, what it looks like? Or do people rally around each other and other than what's thought of that time gone by, there is no effect going forward?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, maybe a little bit of rallying. I think a lot of Michigan fans are relieved moving forward that the penalty wasn't worse, right? That there's no postseason ban. That's always the big one, you know. And the NCAA maybe could have said, hey, because of the how quickly kids can move around these days, young men, I should say, young student athletes. How about that? Maybe they could have said, hey, you're going to be banned in a couple of years from now. That would have been almost like a death penalty, because then who's going to want to come, and then they're not going to be able to recruit during that. So none of that happened. So I think moving forward, a lot of Michigan fans are relieved. I mean, they'll handle the psychological part of it. They'll process that we all do that. We make bargains with ourselves and with our lives all the time in all sorts of ways, big and small. That part they'll figure their way through. Although if Michigan were to win another national championship in the next 10 years, I guarantee you, and nothing like this happens, I guarantee you that will be more fun for them. And and maybe they'll admit it then, right? But anyway, no, I think I don't know that he has to win anymore quickly. You know, he's recruiting really well, right? So, I mean, obviously, because of some of the factors we were just talking about. By the way, I don't know if you ever talked about this in your show or not, but college football, when we say it's kind of inherently unfair because of the geographical advantages, money advantages, it's the same. It's like baseball. Those are our two sports where we accept that there's not a level playing field. It's going to be based on how you evaluate talent, develop talent, you know, right? Draft talent, how well you coach, you know, like the rest of our leagues are. Baseball, it's money and the markets you happen to be in. College football is very similar to that. But anyway, to your question, no, I think he's got to win, like normally the normal pressure of winning at Michigan.
Let's talk some Tigers. I used to feel really bad for you when the Tigers were horrible, because if you're a columnist at the Detroit Free Press and you can't lean on the Tigers, summers are long and they're hard, and you've got to really grind. The ability to like go to a Tigers game and write about relevant baseball and is got to be nice. I did think this Tigers team a couple weeks ago had hit the skids in ways I didn't know if they were going to come out of. Like I placed a little wager on the Guardians to win the division because the odds were good, like 33-1 at the time, and thought, boy, I don't know if this team's going to do it. They've found themselves. What is your sense of what this team is now, and whether they are? I mean, you know, 2 wins against the Astros here, promising things. Whether we've probably been too hard on their flaws, and they actually have, you know, a decent chance in most series in the postseason.
Well, you know what we're not talking about here in Detroit is when L.A. How many did the Dodgers lose a month ago? 7 out of 9, whatever, right?
Ton, yeah,
9 out of 9. You go through. I mean, it was tough because Toronto was ripping off a bunch of wins, and I think Seattle got a little bit hot. So there were some team. Milwaukee, obviously, it's the other league, but the National League. But we don't focus on that. And by the way, to your point about the tough summers, it wasn't just the summers, my man. I mean, it was the whole calendar.
Yeah.
The Detroit sports scene was 4 or 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
It was bleak.
It was.
You had to lean into the colleges pretty heavily for a while.
Pretty much. And there's always some interest in the lines, even when they're really bad, especially, you know, the first part of the year and so forth. And they fill up Ford Field even when they've only won a couple of games. But anyway, no, you're right. It's changed this summer, because even last summer the winning didn't really start till August. But we haven't been, and by we, I mean, you know, all of us, we've not been in a pennant race. That's kind of an old school phrase, in a playoff chase from start to finish in 13, 14 years, whatever, something along those lines. Maybe not quite that long. Maybe 10, 11 years. It had been a long time, and so you forget the ebb and flow of 162 games. And it's easy when you're struggling like they were struggling around the All-Star break. They would lose 11-12 or 11-13, whatever it was. 2 6-game losing streaks, I think. It's easy to think, oh, my goodness, and not think about the fact that even some of the best teams lose like this. Maybe not 12 or 13 or 12, 14 or whatever it was, but close to that. And so that's one. That's that perspective. It's just going to happen. It's just the same with individual players. You know, Riley Green didn't hit for 30 at-bats really early in the season and then looked like one of the best 2-3 hitters in baseball for the next 6 weeks. 2 months, whatever it was, and then fell off again, and now he's hitting again, right? So, maybe Javi Baez is up and down. That's a little bit different. But when your best hitters are going to do that, Torkelson has found his groove a little bit again. Carpenter's been raking since he came back. Gleyber Torres, who was the most consistent hitter of the season, he fell off. Now he's kind of finding his way back and had to walk last night. So you think about how a player gets through a season, and the same goes for pitchers. It's a good metaphor for what the team does, and it's easy to forget that when you're not used to it and think the sky is falling. And you probably did that because you're not thinking as a columnist at that point. You love the Tigers at that, right? So it's not Graham the sitting back and I'm gonna sift through all this. It's Graham. I'm thinking from my gut and what the hell is going on.
Well, I don't know if love. I mean, I put money on the Guardians, so that's where my head was. But I'm thinking financially, how can I profit off misery? That's a whole different conversation. But yeah, no, I see where. And the other thing that's interesting is it is amazing how, I think what happened first of all during that really bad stretch too is it coincided right around the trade deadline when they didn't do a ton. I mean, it turns out that there were a couple moves, the Finnegan addition. And Morton, we'll see, but those two that could be really important. But it coincided at a moment where they didn't make the huge move and try to upgrade the roster, and so it looks like the sky is falling and they didn't do anything about it, and you're sort of wasting time. It is interesting, though, how you can look at this Tigers team, the same group of guys, and think this team in a 7-game series against a really quality team in the postseason just doesn't measure up. And one night you can really feel strongly about that. And then you can look at it, postseasons are about bullpens, right? And you can go, well, they got 2 guys, Invest and Finnegan at the back end of the bullpen for sure. Somebody out of that starting staff is going to move to the bullpen. Melton's been, a pretty good young player. Like, if you got 3.
He's been great.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, maybe you do have 3 arms there. And the postseason, you got 1 day on, 16 days off, and then you played game 2, So, like, maybe you don't need as many as. So you start to look at it and you go, okay. And then you look at Houston, who's sort of respected as a more quality team, and they're going through it a little bit. Their pitching staff's beat up, and Tigers take the first 2 from them. And you go, oh wait, and they beat them last year, and you think, oh wait a second, maybe this is an overreaction. Maybe they are capable of it. I don't know. Where do you stand on what they're capable of? And look, we've seen an 83-win St. Louis team beat the Tigers in the World Series. So I guess anything's possible in terms of their ability to win 3 series. Because right now they're 5.5 games up, I think, on getting that bye out of that first series, which I think is important. But their ability to win 3 series legitimately, where do you stand on that?
If you look pitcher for pitcher, batter for batter, hitter for hitter, whatever, it's not. They're not quite at some of the very top teams, right? The rosters, there's a difference. I mean, the Dodgers. It's funny. People said, "Oh, the Phillies." Well, they went to Philly, and this is kind of when they started turning it around. They went to Philly, and I know they lost 2 or 3, but they had a lead in, I want to say, the first game late, and the bullpen blew up, and Finnegan wasn't ready to pitch yet, right? If you'll recall in that game 1, so they kind of were right there with Philly. I mean, you go there, it's a tough place to play. You take one. If they have the bullpen they have right now, when some of the acquisitions were ready, maybe they take 2 or 3. And then you're thinking a little bit differently, right? It's funny how that works. But I think, are they good enough to win 3 series? Maybe they're not. They wouldn't be anybody's favorite. I don't think they thought, Scott Harris and A.J. Hinch, maybe it's a little bit different, that they thought, hey, we're the prohibitive, we're a World Series type team. Maybe we can get there, get a little bit of luck. Last night, they got a little bit of luck, right? The bang play at the plate that would have given Houston a 1-0 lead. They win that game if that goes the other way, right? They win in 9 innings. You got to have some of that, as you do in most sports. But I don't know that they were convinced that, hey, we are an absolute World Series team right now. I think they were thinking, oh, we're good enough. Well, obviously we're good enough to get to the playoffs, and maybe we make a run. And we want to fortify ourselves a little bit, but we don't want to. But we want to keep developing. We want to see what we look like when we get Carpenter back. That's no coincidence that he's come back and they've gotten on a roll, right? It's not the only thing. Obviously, the bullpen has settled. Mize has been a little bit better again. Flaherty's been up and down the whole time, but they didn't have their full roster there for a little bit. I mean, Carpenter's their second best hitter, probably, right? That's pretty important. By the way, there were no hitters to go get. I haven't seen Suarez's numbers from Seattle. You know, the third baseman out of Arizona. I haven't seen his numbers the last week or so, but he really struggled that first few weeks in Seattle, and that happens a lot of times. There's no guarantee in any of this, and there weren't that many other bats to get. It was the pitching, and they got a really good one with Finnegan. But that's a long answer, Graham. But I think they didn't think they were quite there yet, and they wanted to stay on their path, but at the same time try to get a little bit better. And it turns out, you know, it looks like they made a great move with the closer and Finnegan.
I know it's football season now and postseason baseball season, but my favorite thing to talk to you about is basketball. And I think you and I don't know, that's the sport, right?
Yeah, but you might have a bowl team up there this year. Are you poo-pooing that?
No, but I can talk MSU football all day without you. I mean, we can talk MSU football. I was going to talk a little MSU hoops.
That's okay. No,
yeah,
we'll talk hoops.
Yeah.
We'll talk hoops. We'll talk hoops.
I want to get your impression right now on this MSU basketball team. And sort of when you look at them, guys they brought in, obviously, but the returning nucleus of Cohen Carr and Jackson Kohler and Jeremy Fears and those guys, and what you see is the potential of this group. And I understand we underestimated the potential of last year's group, but when you sort of see them from right now, what do you picture this season being for them?
Well, by the way, it was easy. Well, first of all, I should say it was easy to underestimate last year a little bit, right? The staff, Tom Izzo didn't fully understand. He admitted this, that Jace Richardson was going to be that good that quickly, right?
Yeah, nobody did.
Jace
Richardson
did.
did.
You think they thought he was a one and done when they recruited him?
No, Jace Richardson thought he was a 2 or 3 year guy at this time last year. Like he didn't know he was that. So yeah, no, it's even the player himself thought it was going to be a come off the bench type season for him. So yeah, nobody saw this.
Yeah, and that's the whole key. He was the key to last year. I mean, there were other important parts for sure, but he was the key. So is there a player this year, either on the team or coming in, that can be that good? Whether it's a front court player or perimeter player, you know what I mean? It could be, hey, I'm a dog. I'm going to take over the game.
So
do they have anybody on the roster like that?
I think there are a number of players who are either we don't know and could be pretty good, or could could elevate themselves to the point that it's a really good team. Do they have a player as efficient and smooth and takeover-ish as Jace Richardson? Like I think Trey Fort's going to be really good for them, and they like Trey Fort. Do I think he's going to be Jace Richardson? I don't right now. I mean, I would have to really see that. It hasn't. He's a 24-year-old guy. You'd think you would have seen more of that elsewhere in his career, even though he had good numbers last year. Is Cohen Carr that? I mean, yeah, at the Pro-Am you see him, draining guarded threes and doing a lot of stuff. But is he somebody who you can build an offense around? I don't know. I think Jackson Kohler could become a weapon from 3-point land, and if he's good inside and he's still an elite rebounder, that's a really, really good player. Cam Ward could be, as a freshman, a real impact guy, and that could, so there are a lot of guys. Fears can if he takes a step and can make it all work, that's great. But I don't know that there's that player. I think the collection around that guy might be better than last year.
I agree,
but I don't know if there's that guy, and so it's a different mold, and whether whether the team specifically needs that player or whether just having 6 or 7 guys at a higher level is a way to have a great season, might be the better track for them.
Well, I think and this is maybe a lot to ask, but I think if Kohler, Fears, and Cohen Carr take a step, then they're going to have a chance to compete for the conference title, I would imagine, because they were, in their own ways, good last year. Last time we saw Kohler play, he was unguardable on the block, right, against Auburn.
He had a great game, yeah. Yep.
He did. He really did. And that wasn't even didn't even include the 3-point shooting, which I think will take it even another step. Carr's the one, though, and Well, Fears and Carr are the ones to me, though. Right? If those two guys can take a step, especially Fears, because you figure Carr kind of is, then they're going to have a chance to compete for the Big Ten title, I would imagine, because they got a lot of nice, as you just pointed out, pieces around. They got some depth, and they got some size, right? You know, I think maybe they'll surprise us again. You know, I like the God. Why can't I think of the big center in the middle all of a sudden?
Carson Cooper.
Yeah. Cooper might get just a touch better. He was a good defensive player last year.
Yeah. No, they have. There's no. You know what they don't have this year. I don't look at them at any point and say, "Boy, there's a spot that's really." You know, going in, you're worried about being weak. You know, I think they're pretty, but they should be pretty sound throughout and have a lot of different intriguing lineups. And we just don't know what they're going to be. You know, if Cam Ward, the freshman, winds up being somebody who has to be on the court, that impacts where you play Kohler and who's at the 5 and the 3 and how everything looks. You know, if Trey Fort winds up being a guy that you need to have on the court, and you're still looking to play Kurt Tang and all these other guys, like all of a sudden, you know, do you play smaller? Do you see, you know, a guy like Cohen Carr still spend some time at the 4? I think all that stuff's still way up in the air, depending on how guys develop. Sean,
yeah, you just mentioned Tank too. His shooting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that pops.
No, 100%. I think that they're counting on him being. I think he might have, if he had had a role last year, I think we would have seen more of that. It's hard to come in, you know, 90 seconds every other game and shoot well. And I think he'll have
I was just going to say this last thought, just for your listeners. They like their team.
Yeah,
I've been told in a way that's, and you know, and they're pretty realistic about that kind of stuff, right? So generally,
yeah, there have only been a couple years where Izzo really missed, but it's very rare that he doesn't have, and that staff doesn't have a good pulse on what they've got.
Yeah, no, they like their team. I think they've been pleasantly surprised with what they've seen in parts of the summer.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard a little bit, right? That they're like, oh, okay, yeah, right. So take that for what it's worth.
Well, Sean, I can't wait to see you in the press box next Friday.
Football, man.
It's here. Yep, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun year, I think.
We didn't even talk about the Lions. We'll do that down the road.
Yeah, we got plenty of time for that. I appreciate the time, man. Always love chatting. It was great to hang with you and your boys the other night, and look forward to chatting soon.
Always a pleasure, and I hope Jason has composed himself at this point. Right, he's had a chance to settle down.
He's good over there. Yeah, he's back.
Okay.
He's back in control.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
Okay, good. All right, take care. Talk to you guys soon.
Shawn Windsor from the Detroit Free Press with the word taint throwing the interview.
That's the taint. It was like his voice, the whole thing. It was just perfect.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was.
I wasn't on mic, so you could, you know. You'd have to say I was dying over it.
It was funny to watch.
You could hear me?
Yeah.
Because I love my 5th grade, you know, what I find funny. So,
yeah.
you know, I know. Try to compose yourself.
He's an underrated storyteller. You know,
that's what I hear.
Yeah.
That's what I hear. He's going on the ML podcast and telling other stories because I hear it bleeds through with the Drew Lane podcast that I love because they those guys know Shawn. So I do hear some of the stories and I'm like, wait, what?
He told a really funny story about, you know, being a high school senior and having a girlfriend who was a freshman in college who you're trying to like hang on to that relationship. And then, you know, he showed up once to surprise her. Not a good idea. She was hooking up with a deaf guy who lived next door.
Yeah. Didn't he tell that? Or Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And I know. I'm always fascinated by like when you guys hang out and when you announce that you guys hung out. And then they're like, he was like, I don't know if you want to tell that story. Maybe you were telling stories. I'm like, what could he possibly? Because you on this show, you say everything off the top of your head pretty much, right? I was like, oh, okay, yeah, just that story. Yeah, he's done that before. That's a classic couch story.
Yeah, no, there are probably a few things I'm probably saying.
Drinking. It's the couch drinking game. If he's told that story, you take a shot.
What's amazing is we're out and Rex Rhodes' middle son or middle child is a freshman at Michigan State now. Is 18. You know, Shawn Windsor's
vaping at the bar.
Windsor's 2 boys are, you know, well into their 20s, and it's just
so they're getting hammered.
They're yeah, and it's you know, it was good. It was a good crew. It was good to see that crew. It was fun. So before we get to Harry too, I will have a piece coming out, I believe tomorrow morning
on Max Bulla.
No, but
J-Bat.
I said No, I sat down with Jonathan Smith yesterday, so there was some good stuff there. The things I will say that that stuck out. He did talk about the receivers a little bit, and I think he really believes that they have a chance to have a great 1-2 punch there and be
the kicking game.
Mari Kelly and and Nick Marsh,
kicking coach.
I think the offensive line, they're realistic. He likes that group, but it's not yet like the best they had at Oregon State. It's not like Outland Trophy.
Like how far from the best at Oregon State?
Well, we didn't get into can you rate this on a 1 to 10? Get a sliding scale.
See, that's where you need Matt C, like Jordan Hudson with the Bill Belichick interview.
Yeah,
right. Just over there, checking your questions.
And he did, and I talked to him about the Michigan game last year, and he talked about some of the regrets of different things and play calling and other stuff, but he also just the feel you get and the arrogance of that place is how he put it. So he used the word arrogance or the phrase arrogance of that place in talking about Michigan, which I think MSU fans will enjoy. Michigan. So that'll be at the LSJ, and we can talk about that more with the Groovy Donut Twitter questions this Friday. So we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have Harry Gagnon. We'll do our NFL and college football futures bets. Couch in the Rube, our Wednesday show presented by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask and Company Kitchen and Bar.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot, and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask and Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask and Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at GoMuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, our Wednesday afternoon show presented by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask and Company Kitchen and Bar, my go-to place when people ask me for a recommendation. In Lansing, go to caskandcompany.com for reservations, to check out their menu, to place an order, whatever it may be. Very pleased now to be joined by our friend, the great Harry Gagnon. This warms my heart.
I just hung up on Harry.
Did you hang up on Harry? Jesus, stretch. The panic. Okay, more Front 43 and Cask and Company. If you've never been, trust me, you will absolutely love it. One of the things I always talk about the bar and the sports setup on the Front 43 side. Sometimes I like the Cask and Company side just as much. It's one of those square bars where you're kind of around the bartender. The TV setups are great. They'll put on whatever you want there. The TVs don't overtake the restaurant too, but you can see everything, which is phenomenal. So that is Front 43 and Cask and Company. Now, after Jason rudely hung up on Harry,
sorry, dude,
we are grateful to have our favorite man back. Harry, how you doing, brother?
What's up, guys? How's everything?
Good. Better now that you're here.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. We got Twinkle Toes over there working the board. So yeah.
Jason Jason can't wait till the golf tomorrow. He's preoccupied.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm going to live Detroit on Saturday.
Yeah,
I can't wait to be in that vibe.
Awesome.
That's going to be wild. So, yeah, man.
Very cool.
Sorry I hung up on you.
No,
my bad, dude.
Yeah, no, I
no MGs, by the way. That's the problem. No MGs going.
When I look forward to hearing what you think of it, because this is, obviously you have the Rocket Mortgage event that you went to.
The Rocket Classic.
Rocket Classic.
Changed the name.
Sorry. And then you've got the Live Tour, and like how different those two events are. I'm curious your thing.
Well, it's obvious already with the music. I already find it when I tune into a live event, like I already get into the old guy, like, I don't like this music, But I do when I'm playing. When I'm playing, I love having some music on because I don't silence absolutely kills me, especially with my golf game. So I would love the music, but it's going to be wild.
Are you allowed?
A full report next Monday.
Are you allowed to go there with like a girlfriend or something like that? I mean,
I have my wife.
I know that's fine, but I'm just saying it's a Saudi-owned event. So, like, are you allowed to go there unmarried? I wonder.
She's got to be covered.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's what I always wonder about this.
Sorry, I know your angle, coach. My bad.
Sorry.
I'll make sure. I think Teresa's going with me on Saturday, so I'll make her wear a whole thing.
Make sure she covers the ankles. That's all that's asked.
But what about your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Fully exposed. The wife, she's got to wear a full thing.
Right.
Yeah. Girlfriends get to wear shorts.
All right. Well, this is a show I've been looking forward to. I thought what we'd do is sort of like we did with the golf majors. We'd sort of
music.
We'd go around and give our the things we're either betting on or we really like for college football or NFL futures. And Harry and Jason also have golf plays we'll get to as well. But let's do that, and we'll just go Jason, Harry, and then me, if that works. Jason, you want to lead us off here?
I only have like 4 here.
Okay.
I got 4 in a golf bet. I'm just doing college. I'm going to listen to your guys' NFL picks, but here are my college.
Just give me the first.
I'm going to give you the first one here.
First one, yeah.
I got to say, I keep gravitating, boys, back to Nebraska. I know the over/under is 7.5, and that's minus 150. But what's intriguing is the plus 900 to make the playoff. And with Nebraska has new offensive coordinator, my guy, Dana Holgorsen. I've won some money with Dana. I love his offenses. Dylan Raiola, the Patrick Mahomes wannabe guy. And Matt Rule, Harry, in his third year. Matt Rule in his third year. 11-3 with Baylor, 10-4 with fucking Temple. He did it with Temple. They should start 3-0, and September 20th at home versus Michigan will show us who they really are, but we can't wait to bet that long. They got the 13th easiest schedule. They avoid Ohio State and Oregon with a bye week before they go on the road to Penn State. I got to say, I got to sprinkle a little on that plus 900 to make the playoff. And I really like the over 7.5. I just think there's too much juice. I think I waited too long to get that. But Nebraska, I keep gravitating towards back to those guys.
Harry, you like Nebraska as well. That's one of the things. One of the games futures you really like as well.
Yeah, I'll lead with that. Jay, you stole a lot of my thunder there, but I definitely do believe in the Cornhuskers this year, over 7.5 wins. You mentioned, I think, they get Michigan at home on September 20th. That's the game that can really get this program back. Michigan has a ton of off-the-field issues. So that could be a game that they're really looking to win. They got to the bowl game, finally got to a bowl game last year, so they got that monkey off their back. And now I think, like you mentioned, they don't get Ohio State or Oregon, which is pretty big. Raiola completed 67% of his passes last year, and they did lose 6 games last year, but 5 of those were one-score games. So yeah, I'm gonna ride with you here on Nebraska. Good season here for Rule and his Cornhuskers. I'm gonna go over 7.5 wins.
All right, I'm gonna play Homer here because I think people will like this. Michigan State over 5.5. There is some juice to it, depending on what book you're at. It's 140 to 150, minus 140 to minus 150. I just think they're going to get to 6 or 7, and maybe they get beyond that. But 6 or 7 to me, and I understand that there's a lot of variables in their schedule in terms of other teams that have over-unders of 7.5 or better, including Nebraska, and so there's a lot of tough games out there. I just think they have enough juice in the playmakers. They have the type of team that wins you games here and there that I don't know if they'll be consistent, but I think they will win somewhere that maybe you don't expect it. And even a team like Penn State, who everybody thinks is the best team in the country, Michigan State has a decent history against them at home. They get them at home. They get Michigan at home. And we'll see what Michigan is. Are they playing a freshman quarterback at that point? We'll see what USC is on the road. The plan is to go out there 2 days in advance. It's something Jonathan Smith said. I mean, they learned from last year on that a little bit. I think they won 5 games last year, and it fell apart. And they've just got a better, deeper squad with a more experienced quarterback, better receivers. Like, to me, the idea that they wouldn't win one more game when you don't have the back-to-back Oregon, Ohio State on the schedule like they did last year, I think over 5.5 is a great play. Obviously, I'm not going to play it because I'm covering the team, but I would tell people this year.
Way to go, Herb Street.
Sorry, I would tell people this
Way
year
to have morals.
that is a great play this year, and you don't get that every year. Some years the team gets overrated. This is a year where I think they're being a little underrated.
I think it would be great, though, if you did gamble on it, so that way we could kind of read the tea leaves when you're in your columns. If they had a loss or something like that, you kind of read through that.
That would be big trouble.
By the way, we didn't really go over these beforehand, so I'm sorry if I blow Harry's next one, I guess, because mine are so great. Next one, boys, Clemson, 9.5, the over. I guess there's some juice probably with that, but year 3 for Klubnik. I don't know. Are we going to sit there, maybe sprinkle a little bit on Heisman for this guy, Harry? Do you trust Dabo? He's won double-digit the win totals for the 13 of the last 14 seasons in 2023. He went 9-4. So the 9.5, I got to jump all over that. He's got some big guys coming in there. Got some guys coming back. Love Dabo. 9.5.
That's good. I do like Clemson. They got a lot back. Harry, what you got?
Well, how about this one, guys? I found this one. You can do this. It's a parlay. You can, and it pays -110 for Clemson and Penn State, both to win at least 10 games. Now, I'll start with Clemson and Dabo's squad. You mentioned quarterback Cade Klubnik coming back. He had a +30 touchdown-to-pick ratio last year. Wide receiver Antonio Williams had 11 of Klubnik's 36 touchdowns. Clemson doesn't have to worry about Carson Beck and the Miami Hurricanes on their schedule, and they have LSU, which is going to be a tough one to start the season. But they have LSU, SMU, and Florida State all at home this year. So give me Clemson to win at least 10 games with Penn State. 11 wins last year for James Franklin, and he's had 10 or more every year since 2022. Penn State returns practically everybody. Aller, and in the running back position, you get Singleton and Allen both back. Non-conference is a cake schedule for Penn State this year, and they get Oregon at home. They owe them one for the Big Ten championship game. You know, Oregon down a lot of players, in terms of, I think it's going to be kind of a down season number. A couple weeks ago, I gave them under 10.5 to you guys. So Penn State and Clemson, both to win at least 10 games, pays -110.
I like it. I like it a lot, actually. At one point, my next one was going to be Northwestern over 3.5, but the juice on this has gotten unbearable. At one point, this was a great bet. The idea that they weren't going to somewhere get that 4th win, I was like, they're going to get there. And
what's the juice on it
now?
Now
It's -240 some places. Can't do it. That is the stunning thing is some places they've actually risen the line, but you can
waited
still
so long. Huh?
You can still find places that will. I'm going to give you an NFL one and another homer pick. I love the Lions over 10.5 at plus money.
Hell yeah!
I mean, you're talking plus 115. I don't love the win the division is only like plus 135, which doesn't make sense because you could win 11 games and still not win the division in a way. So to me, based on the value is over 10.5, and I just think look, this team won 15 games last year. I don't think they're going to be worse. They may have a few things not bounce their way during the season, but I can't imagine the injury luck is any worse unless something happens to like Jared Goff or something. But 10.5 to me to get to 11, the Lions are sort of like and I know Harry hates the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are one of those teams that there have been a couple years where their over/under's just been too low. They're a really good football team. There's no question of that, and I think nationally there is not faith in that yet. But this is still a really good football team, very much in its Super Bowl window. The idea they don't get to 11 wins, I think, is absurd, and you get plus money on it. So I really like the Lions plus 115 to get to above 10.5.
Attaboy. It's about time you're coming around on the Lions. All right.
I'll say this, guys, if I can. I do believe I saw a little earlier today that the Super Bowl logo came out and the colors, And you know how everyone, and I'm one of them, theorists that, whatever the colors are, means that, the NFL season has been scripted, and those teams that match the colors go to the Super Bowl. And it's happened like 4 or 5 years in a row. So, that being said, it's like a different type of blue. So, look, I think maybe we're looking at Bills-Lions.
Oh, I thought you were going to go a Taylor Swift route where the Chiefs were somehow going to get back there. And
I don't think Harry can stomach that.
I can't stomach that. I can't stomach it. I mean, her being on their podcast, I couldn't stomach, let alone another Super Bowl with the Chiefs.
Oh, my wife loved it. Absolutely loved it. All right, boys. You know what else is scripted? Brett Bielema will let you down gambling-wise. And that's why Illinois, I'm taking the under 7.5 wins at plus 150. I just don't trust Luke Altmaier and Brett Bielema. Ohio State, Washington, USC, and Indiana on the road. I know some of those teams we don't know what they're going to be, but those are still big road games. Altmaier had a few good games last year, but that was Nebraska, Michigan State a little bit, Purdue. But what did he do against Penn State, Oregon, and South Carolina? Very, very mediocre. I just think they're getting a lot of off-season hype because of the record they had last year. Again, you have to remember this is Brett Bielema. Right. So I'm taking the under 7.5.
What do you got, Harry?
I'm gonna hit my pros now, guys, and I'm gonna start with my hometown here, Arizona Cardinals. I'm gonna go with Kyler Murray under 20.5 touchdown passes at minus 114. Now, look, Trey McBride might be the best tight end in the NFL right now. I think he had 112 receptions last year, and Murray could only find him one time in the end zone. Crazy. He's had numerous injuries Murray has in the past 3 years. He's averaged 12 games played a season in the last 3 years in Arizona, and just 15 touchdown passes over those last 3 seasons. I'm going to go under 20.5 for Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Kyler Murray's just a hard guy to trust. He's just a really hard.
I do like watching him run, though.
Yeah,
it's fun to watch him run, the little guy.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I got one more college one that I kind of like, and I hated that Joel Klatt liked this too, and it made me not like it. But I'm gonna.
It's kind of like when you like one of mine. I'm like,
yeah.
Really?
I like Washington over 7.5 wins. I think the West Coast schools, while it's tough coming east, last year was a real shocker for those guys, and I think that will be, I don't know, they're just going to be a little more used to it. They'll handle it better. They'll travel better. They have some tough games at home. Ohio State at home, but we're talking getting over 7.5, right? The game that's probably going to determine whether they get over there is Illinois at home at Washington, October 25th, and obviously that weekend a lot of people will be paying attention to Michigan State around these parts, but that'll be a big game for the over. Washington's at Michigan October 18th. I think that's a tough game for Michigan. Go either way. I think they've got a real shot. They're late in the year. They're at UCLA, who I don't think is going to be very good. Host Oregon end the year. We'll see where that goes. But I think to get over 7.5, they don't play anybody in the non-conference that you go, uh-oh. They do have the Apple Cup, but Colorado State at home, UC Davis at home, Maryland pretty early on in the calendar on the road, first road trip. They ought to be able to win that game. As long as they beat Maryland on the road, I think they go over 7.5.
There, I gave you some music just to bend that one out.
Thank you, sir.
All right, here's one that I'm not too high on, but when I was crushing tape, I just wanted your guys' opinion because I was sitting there going like, I just don't know. And it's Wisconsin, and the over-under's 5.5. And we all know that Wisconsin, it all depends on their running game because the stats are off the charts when they run the ball 35-plus times a game. I just don't know if Wisconsin can do that. Their schedule's brutal at Bama, at Oregon, and at Michigan. But do you think? I just think that they can squeeze 6 wins out of that, right?
I don't know. I don't think they're going to be very good this year.
No,
the schedule's tough. I'm really down on
really well.
I'm really down on Wisconsin. I don't. I'm not.
See, that's why I was throwing it out there. I need you guys to help me with some of these.
Yeah, I wouldn't play there. Yeah, I wouldn't be there.
All right.
Harry, you got anything else?
Yeah, I got 2 more. How about this? I'm still in the NFL. I'm going to go Brock Bowers of the Raiders over 1,025 receiving yards at minus 114. Look, he was a stud at Georgia and was a stud in his rookie season in Vegas. Had 112 receptions, almost 1,200 yards, in 17 games last year with bums at quarterback. Now he's got Geno Smith throwing in the ball and a competent head coach in Pete Carroll. Geno, last 3 years in Seattle, averaged 4,000 yards a season. Give me Bowers over 1,025 receiving yards. And also, I got this one. Love this one. Chase Brown, ex-Illini for the Bengals now, over 875.5 rushing yards. Was 10 yards short of 1,000 in second year last season. The Bengals' offense is loaded and may put up records. It's so good this year since he dumped Zach Moss after 1 year. So this is Brown's year. Brown's team in the backfield for the Bengals. Chase Brown, over 875.5 rushing yards.
That's awesome. I'll be on all that, writing these things down as we speak. All right, the last thing I really have in the NFL, there are a couple things I like. I like the Texans over 9.5, and I like their defense. Obviously, I like Stroud. I know there's some questions up front, but I like the division they're in too. I mean, I think getting to 10 wins in a 17-game schedule for the Texans, giving their, I really like it. I really do. I think that's a great play. The other thing that I've gone back and forth on this a little bit, but at one point I was much higher than I am today. I strangely like. Well, now you know what, I was a Colts bet. I don't want to stay away from that. I'm nervous about the Colts roster. I think the Colts roster is decent, and the fact that they went away from Richardson at quarterback now makes me a little nervous. They somehow
Danny Dimes. You're trusting Danny Dimes?
No, but they just got to get over 7.5 with what I think is a pretty good roster. Otherwise, I don't know. I could see them getting 8 wins. I like the Broncos over. It's -105 over 9.5. I think they have a really good year. I believe in Sean Payton. I believe in that defense. Give me the Broncos over 9.5. That's the other one I really like in the NFL. You guys also have.
Hold on, I got one more.
Oh, you got one more.
I got one
yeah,
more.
Okay.
I got one more, and I know because Harry hates Andy Reid with a passion, and I have the same hatred and same passion for my hatred with Kirk Ferentz and Iowa. I despise Kirk Ferentz in Iowa. I think he screwed the Iowa fans over for all these years of getting to 10 wins, but never like sniffing close to a national championship. And the Iowa over-under 7.5. Give me the under. Like, I'm intrigued by Mark Gronowski, the transfer from South Dakota State. Everything I've read about Iowa is that Kirk Ferentz is going to let his new offensive coordinator, Tim Lester, have run some run-pass options with this guy. I don't believe it. He's the most conservative. Kirk Ferentz is the most conservative, boring offensive mind in college football history. So give me the under. I just don't buy that Kirk Ferentz is going to let this guy do some run-pass options. He's going to run the ball, and maybe let this guy throw. The guy's thrown for over 10,000 yards at South Dakota State. So give me the under 7.5. That's a spite bet a little bit.
I can feel it. I can feel the anger. That's an anti-Scott Docterman bet. Yeah. That's that is.
I love Scott Docterman. Hate Kirk Ferentz.
Gotcha. You guys have a couple of golf plays yourselves too. Jason, what do you got there?
Yeah, I'm just going one this week with the Tour Championship, Harry. I don't know. You can do these bets. Ludwig Aberg. Now you can do these. There is a win without category, meaning you could do a win without Scotty Scheffler, which means Ludwig Aberg could come up in second to Scotty Scheffler. You still win. That's 11-1. Also, you can take him at 18-1, which I'm sprinkling on to win this Tour Championship. By the way, if he wins the whole Tour Championship, even though Scotty Scheffler's won all of these things. It's kind of ridiculous, but I think you get some value, Harry, at 18-1. What do you got?
Yeah, I hear you. And look, Scheffler, last week was a plus. What did we talk when we came out? Plus 250, 260. I hit a little bit on that. Now he's at plus 150. Also, last week, if you guys remember, I gave out that Thursday-only parlay, which hit, which was a winner. So I'm going to give another Thursday-only round parlay. I'm going to start here with, I'm going to take, and this pays plus 285, guys. I'm going to go with Patrick Cantlay over Corey Connors. Corey Connors finished last week really rough, shot an 80 on Sunday. Cantlay I did kind of like last week, didn't really materialize into what he can do. So I'm going to give Cantlay another chance. Cantlay over Connors. I'm going to take Andrew Novak over Keegan Bradley. Again, that parlay pays 285. Novak, first time in the top 30 playing in this tournament. He's basically playing with house money here. Keegan Bradley, better player, obviously. But, with the Ryder Cup coming up, he's got a lot to think about, whether he's going to keep himself on that team or not. Just on Thursday, give me, like I said, playing with house money, give me Andrew Novak over Keegan Bradley, Thursday only, with Cantlay over Connors plays, plus 285. And also, top Englishman, Justin Rose at plus 280. There's only two other guys. There's your guy, Jason, your boy Harry Hall, who played real well last week, finished 6th. And Tommy Fleetwood, again, top 10 last week, couldn't get it done as usual. But at plus 280, Justin Rose, he's had a couple tournaments in the last few weeks where he's been right up there, 1-1. So at plus 280, when you only got to beat two other guys and a guy who does have a major compared to the other two guys who don't, give me Justin Rose at plus 280, top Englishman.
Harry, you also have a Premier League bet for this week, just for Jason.
I did this for Jay. Right. I did this. I mean, obviously, I know you love him, Graham, and you appreciate it and everything. But this is for Jay. Maybe Jay will maybe Jay will throw 20 on this just for the heck of it. But I'm going to go Brentwood and Aston Villa over 2.5. You got to lay 130 here. Brentford's defense last week in Week 1 was awful. They gave up 3 goals, 4 goals in that match overall. I know Villa didn't score. So that gives me, I'm thinking they're going to break free and get at least one in this matchup against Brentford, who was terrible, like I said, last week defensively. And 4 of their last 5 meetings, these two, have been 3 goals or more. And in 3 of those 4, there's been 4 goals or more. So give me over 2.5, Brentford and Aston Villa.
Yeah, I think Brentford, lost a lot on their team. That's my only concern with Brentford. But I agree.
So you don't like it, Couch?
I like it. I like it.
I was about to say, I'm hammered then.
I would have loved Brentford. If this was last year, I would have loved Brent. But I still like it. I still like it over. I don't believe in Brentford's defense either. So I think it's a good play. Yeah, I'm still working on this weekend. Friday I'll do what I'm betting on.
Crushing tape?
But hold on, if people who hear the show in time for tonight's Leagues Cup quarterfinals matchups between MLS and Liga MX, there's some. I love the Mexican sides tonight. I usually do. I hate the MLS teams, but
at the restaurant or
Tigres, UNL over Inter Miami, and they are plus 175 on the money line. Now that they got to win, a tie loses, but you can get them. Is on the Asian line, so to speak. Pick 'em, half plus 1.5 or minus 125. You can get pick 'em money, in other words, pretty good. So a tie, you get your money back. I like Toluca minus 120 at a pick 'em against Orlando, and that's in California. So don't even have to win the game. You get your money back. They win the game. You win your money. I think that's a great play. And Pachuca. Pick a minus 135 at LA Galaxy. I think Pachuca's just a better team. They're the top of Liga MX right now. There are 3 games tonight I really, really like in the Leagues Cup. And
why don't we just parlay Pachuca to Toluca? Why don't we just parlay that?
Pachuca and Toluca?
And if you wrote down all of Couch's picks correctly, you get a gift card.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
How the hell do you keep those straight?
It all pays the same, right?
Jesus, I guess.
Harry, you are a beautiful, beautiful man. Look forward to talking football with you every week, man.
See you, brother.
Awesome, guys. Take care. Have fun until you live, Jay. Have a good time.
Yep, I'll talk to you.
The great Harry Gagnon. Man, it's good to hear his voice. That was fun. Go around. There's some good picks there from him as well. We will be back on Friday.
Yeah.
Friday, Groovy Donut Twitter questions. We'll also, I'll give you my Premier League bets presented by our friends at Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app on Friday. We appreciate Front 43 and Cask & Company, the original, the OGs of Couch on the Roof sponsors, the originals. They believed in us before we even believed in ourselves. And really, there's really no reason to believe in us now. But nonetheless, they've stuck with us all this time. Thank you guys, as always, for listening. Thanks to Shawn Windsor as well. We will talk to you Friday. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch on the Roof.